Hello and welcome back to the Sim Racing channel where nothing is impossible. It's Florian for Sim Racing with Handicap 502. We are in Raceroom with a track guide for the Red Bull Ring. The car I used is the Porsche 992 GT3, as I was pleasantly surprised how good it drove at this track even with the default setup. I could push without the fear of losing the rear and do some consistent lap times. At first I will explain you the lap from the cockpit view and pause on important spots. Then I will show you the lap as a whole without any interruptions. Now let's jump into the car. For T1 we are braking shortly after the 100-meter board and go down to 3rd gear. Try not to hit the yellow curb on the inside as it will unsettle the car. Try to be as early on the throttle as possible, but be smooth with it. Don't go full throttle immediately because it's very easy to get the snap oversteer. We can go very much to the outside so that we just stay inside the yellow sausage curb with the right side tires. For turn 3 we brake right after the 100-meter board and go down to 1st gear. It looks like we overshoot the corner, but that's actually the fastest way as we carry more speed through the corner and we are beginning to accelerate a bit later and completely on the left side where we have more grip as the track is not as steep and as inclined as on the inside directly after the apex. Therefore we will have better acceleration. Don't go to full throttle as long as you're fully turning the wheel. It's important to stay inside the yellow sausage curb on the exit. For T4 we brake at the 100-meter board and go down to 2nd gear. We start to let the brake go as we turn in and completely let it go right before the apex. We try to keep it close to the inside but don't go over the curb as it will invalidate the lap. And as we go to full throttle we open the steering wheel, otherwise the rear might slip. We don't use the curb on the outside as it's pretty bumpy and will trigger the traction control. For turn 6 we brake right after the 50-meter board. With the Porsche and to some extent with the mid-engined cars we only turn in slightly as long as we brake to not lose the rear. And after we let the brake go we fully turn in. With front-engined cars you can already turn in more while braking. If you use a low TC I would avoid the curb on the inside as the cars spin very easily on it. If you use a higher TC you can use it a bit. With the Porsche we make a late apex. With the mid-engined cars and even more the front-engined cars, you can make it an earlier apex as they understeer less on throttle. We use the curb on the outside but we have to stay inside the white line with the left tires. For T7 we use the track coming from the right as a brake marker and brake shortly before it disappears from sight. As in the last corner we make a late apex with the Porsche and avoid the curb. But with other cars you can make the apex a bit earlier and slightly use the curb. On the exit we only use the red and white curb because if we go over it the lap gets invalidated. For T9 we begin to brake a bit before the 50-meter board. With the Porsche and the mid-engined cars we want to brake more or less in a straight line and only turn slightly at the end of the braking. The moment we start to fully turn we already need to be off the brake. I used 4th gear as I could carry more speed through the corner with it and it reduces the chance of losing the rear on entry, but especially in the front-engined cars which do not rotate as much on corner entry, 3rd gear might be better. But no matter what car you use, I would recommend you to try 3rd and 4th gear and see in which you are more comfortable. We use the red and white curb on the inside, but you have to stay inside the white line with the left side tires. We also use the whole red and white curb on the exit, but again we have to stay inside the white line with the right side of the car to not get the lap invalidated. For the last corner we brake at the 50-meter board and we use 3rd gear. Don't go over the yellow curb on the inside. It's important to be on the throttle at the apex. If you use a low traction control, you can use the curb on the outside completely. If you use a higher TC, I would stay on the brake a tiny bit longer to rotate the car a bit more and avoid the curb on the outside, as it will trigger the TC in this case and slow you down. The lap time I did was a 1:29.890. I did this lap in a leaderboard challenge where the setup was fixed and the cars always carry 50 liters of fuel, therefore with a better setup and low fuel it's definitely possible to get a faster lap time. The things I could still change despite the fixed setup were the brake bias, which I set to 54 on the front, and I used TC5, which is very low. Now I'm going to show the lap from the cockpit view without any interruptions, and then I show the lap from the third person perspective, because there you can see the exact positioning of the car.